Yeah, and we're rolling.
All right. So
So,
ask me anything.
yeah. Hi, John.
Hi.
First of all, I want to thank you for being here because, um, you are new to the Wingfleet community, and me personally, I don't know you that well.
It's
It's
true. You
always
mostly know
been
me
like,
as that guy who forgot about our first interview.
that's true. Well, like to me, before that, you're always the new English guy that's next door to Ben Minis. So, and I think a lot of students might share the same feeling as I do because this is a small community and essentially people want to get to know each other better, whether you're new or. So, yeah, that's why I think it's a good idea to have this interview. And so, my first question here it goes. Can you briefly tell us about who you are?
Briefly, probably not. No, I can try.
Okay.
Briefly tell you about who I am. I mean, that's deep. It's ontological, existential. I guess I'm the kind of guy who would say that in an interview. But who am I? Well, I'm John, and I came from Maine, and then I left, and then I came back to Maine. And let's see, I like boats,
No.
cheese,
Uh huh.
I live with a cat. I'm fascinated by root vegetables.
Yep.
Yeah. Winter is my favorite season sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Tea is delicious, but so is coffee. And I like books, which is good because otherwise I think it would be a very difficult life to be an English teacher.
That's true. Yeah. Okay. So where were you before coming to Waynfleet? Because I think that's like a good question because a lot of people know you as Dr. Radway, and we're like, Dr. Radway, whoa.
Yeah, like was he a field surgeon somewhere in some special operative scenario in the Caribbean, which I can't discuss. But apart from my secret medical field work, which we won't mention, which probably never happened, I was for a very long time getting a PhD in English at Harvard, which is how I ended up as Dr. Radway. I like the quotation marks around doctor because if I'm ever on an airplane and they say, "Is there a doctor?" I really need to remember not to jump up because they don't need somebody to analyze T.S. Eliot. But after that, I was teaching in a small high school outside of Boston.
Yeah. Cool. Since this is your first year being part of the Waynfleet community, would you like to share with us about what made you come to Waynfleet?
Yeah, the first time I ever heard of the school, I was sort of bowled over by just how nice a place it seemed. And then when I visited here, everybody seemed happy. Students, and I'm talking about high school students here, teenagers, seemed like they actually wanted to be in the classroom learning things.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's unheard of in the universe, but it's a pretty special thing, and I wanted to be part of that.
Yeah. And what made you want to be teaching? Because I know a lot of people that pursue like academics in college or in grad school or a doctorate degree, they would think teaching is lame, which makes sense because like you've been pursuing in a really specific field for what, like 20 years, and then you have to go back and explain simple things to these students who have no idea what you're talking about. Like, what made you come back to a setting at a high school? And yeah.
Well, for one thing, it's just much more fun and much more interesting. And for another thing, I think, frankly, it's more intellectually challenging than a lot of academic work.
Yeah.
Because on the one hand, in terms of it being just fulfilling, I get to actually talk to people who are excited about books, who are excited about learning, instead of being locked up in a library for 18 hours a day alone while I slowly lose my mind, which is, I think, it's something that a lot of people who devote their lives to scholarship do experience. The slow descent into madness that comes from the library life. Many of them love it. It's not for me. I like interacting with students. I like teaching them. I like seeing the excitement of somebody grappling with a text for the first time or learning something new in literature. I like that moment where you get to explain what a metaphor is to people who have never really thought about it that way before. And I find taking, to go off of what you were saying, taking very, sometimes very complex ideas and putting them into a form that anybody could understand. Trying to find a way to get, to get teenagers, to get high school students to really think deeply about literature. I find that to be much more of an interesting challenge than just sitting alone at a desk thinking about literature in my own head. So that's why I chose this path.
Yeah.
Plus, you all are fun.
Oh.
You just are.
Yeah. So would you say by interacting with students in some way as a teacher, like there's always something new for you to learn as well?
There always is, yeah. I mean, I've had interpretations of the Odyssey tossed at me by ninth graders that I had never come across before. And I've had insights into American culture and Richard Wright from first-time readers of the memoir Black Boy that I, in thinking about the 20th century and in talking about the 20th century, had never stumbled upon before. So, yeah, there's something about the high school mind which is incredibly capable of thought at the highest level, just plunging into things without fear of getting it wrong, that I think leads to really startling insights.
Okay, so outside of classroom, what stands out to you about Waynflete experience?
The first thing I noticed was the beautiful silence in between periods. Many high schools, and how long have you been here yourself?
3 years.
3 years, okay. So you were somewhere, now the school you were before this, did it have resonant hallways with loud bells? Yeah. It's easy to forget how incredibly special the absence of resonant hallways with loud bells is. But there's just a sort of peace and calm even during passing periods here that I think contributes to everybody feeling like it's a nice place to be. The cafe pizza is excellent. It's in a class by itself. What was the question again? Did it have anything to do with pizza, or was I off in a tangent there?
What stands out about the Waynflete experience?
Oh yeah, okay.
Outside
So
of
pizza
the
does work. Also, just the advising system. The fact that I am getting, little check-ins every day from so many of my students' advisors, just wondering how they're doing.
Yeah.
And that I, as an advisor, can go to teachers and just say, hey, I noticed that so and so. Has been turning in assignments late or looked a little glum in class, or I can say, so-and-so aced the last test after stressing about it for months. So, weeks, days maybe. But still, to be able to share that joy of accomplishment with advisors, as well as being able to make sure that students are getting all the help they need, that's a special thing.
And going forward, what are some things that you are looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to seeing what happens second semester. Your first year at a school, you're sort of experiencing the entire calendar afresh.
Yeah.
So right now I'm learning about the very special environment of the 2 days before Thanksgiving week, which has this entire wonderful manic energy of its own that I think can be harnessed to great effect. But you know what is Waynflete like between winter break and February break? What is Waynflete like in early May when the sun is shining outside? I don't know yet, and I'm excited to find out.
Yeah, definitely. All right, one last question.
Okay.
What is it really like being next door to Ben Mini?
Oh, it's the best. I learned the truth about everything.
Yeah.
No, the inside information. And no, we really just talk about tea and history a lot.
Yeah.
And if I weren't an English teacher, I would probably be a history teacher. And if there were such a thing as a tea teacher, I would love to be one. So it's good to have a next door neighbor with whom I can talk about tea and history on a regular basis.
Definitely.
It's fabulous. I did notice the other day we ended up having a fairly rowdy session of essay writing. And at some point, Ben Mini's face kind of came in the window. And I saw the look on his face. I thought, that is not a quiet down, kids, you're disturbing my class look. That's just I really want to know what's going on in there look.
Yeah.
And I like that Waynflete's that kind of place.
Yeah, definitely. All right, thank you
All
very
right,
much,
you're
John.
welcome. Yeah, these are some lowball questions. I mean, I was expecting to do something much more hard.